For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to Strat News Global. In this special broadcast today, I'm joined by Israel's ambassador to India, Noor Gilon, who's been ambassador here in Delhi since September 2021, but has covered considerable distance across the country and seen some of the states, and is now a very familiar face on the diplomatic circuit in New Delhi. Welcome to this program, Ambassador, and let me begin by congratulating you and, of course, our diplomatic community for 30 years of diplomatic relationship between India and Israel. When you look back when it started off in 1992, what is the kind of distance it has covered? What are the highlights that you think of?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be on your program. We didn't start in 30 years ago, the full diplomatic relations. We were established, we are two ancient civilizations who have a modern country which is more or less the same age. You are 75, we are 74. And in the beginning, it was a little bit more difficult. We didn't have full diplomatic relations, but very happily, 30 years ago, we started the full diplomatic relations in 92. And since then, the relations have been growing steadily. In the beginning, there were two legs that led the relationship. One is defense. Even before, more than 30 years ago, Israel was already, I think, very valuable to India on the defense side. And the other one is the agriculture side. We have around India about 30 centers of excellence in agriculture in different fields, which really are run by Indians. It's Israeli technology and know-how, but Indian partners are running them, local governments usually, and they are helping farmers. Millions of farmers already went through these farms, and some of them adopted new methods and technologies, and it's really helpful. But in the last few years, we really jumped. We had a big jump. I think it started probably with a visit of Prime Minister Modi to Israel in 2017, and a year later, Prime Minister Netanyahu visiting here. And we can say that today the relations do not have only two legs.
Mm-hmm.
They are multi-leg relations because we are cooperating on everything.
Right.
And I think the important thing is that beyond the formal diplomatic country-to-country relations, there is a deep element of people-to-people friendship and from both sides. Mm-hmm. And this is a very healthy basis for the country-to-country relations.
So that's been a very good journey so far. But like you mentioned, the first visit by the Indian Prime Minister in 2017 was like a landmark event because there was a lot of hesitation earlier. Then this hesitation of history was overcome. And that is an inflection point in a way. Now, when you look ahead, what are the areas that you would like to concentrate on now that you've been here for a considerable period?
Yeah, one of the challenges I find, or stand to myself, is that I'm reaching the relations really at a peak point, I think, a very, very high point. I don't have peak, but very high point.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is not how you continue, how you take it to the next level.
Right.
And this is a huge challenge. If I look at what's happening in the world, I think that it's clearly that it's a world that is going towards technology. So Israel is named the startup nation because of the huge concentration per capita of innovation and startups and a very strong ecosystem. And India has a very strong ecosystem of startup, which is building and developing. In addition, India also has a huge market size, so it's very important for technology, and human resources and manufacturing capabilities. So I think that our future is probably will be very much based on technology and cooperation and technology. And the sky's the limit. So I won't even limit it to this sector or another. Wherever there are advantages of both sides in cooperating, it will happen because the people, you see that the chemistry between the people when they cooperate is working very, very well.
That's true. And you mentioned, ancient civilizations, people-to-people contact. That, of course, is an area where I'm sure you're working very deeply, very closely with the people here, the NGOs. So, what are the kind of projects that you're looking at apart from the startups, which we'll talk about a little later? Startups, of course, and innovation, maybe one focus. But also social sector, I thought Israel's doing pretty well in India. If you can elaborate.
Yes, so, when we speak about two ancient civilizations, Jews have been living here in India as equal citizens for over 2,000 years. No one looked at their Judaism, and some of these people, no one knows that they're Jews. They're Indians, like Sikh Indians and Hindu Indians and Buddhist Indians and Muslim Indians. They are Jewish Indians. And I think they gave back also to society. So there are very famous figures like David Sassoon, who was born in Baghdad in Iraq, came to India, did very well. And today, not many people know that when they see the Sassoon Foundation, who holds the Sassoon Hospital, Sassoon High School, library, docks, Sassoon Docks in Mumbai, it's a Jewish guy who gave back to society. Another famous person buried really around the corner here
Right.
is General Jacob,
Yes.
the hero
Of the 71 war.
71 war. And there were many, these are just two. You spoke about projects that we inaugurated.
Mm.
We just did inaugurated together with the city here, murals in Connaught Place,
Mhm.
which are tribute to three Bollywood Indian Jewish actresses, which were among the pioneers in the industry. And these three women paved the way for other Indian women to join the industry. So this is one element, but we are trying also to do, since the people-to-people element is very important, and there is deep appreciation by Indian people to Israel and by Israelis to India. We did here a few social projects in underprivileged, usually the underprivileged populations, and a lot of connected to women empowerment. For example, we brought here a few months ago 4 women doctors from Israel to help women treat or diagnose women here, but more important, create awareness
Right.
to women.
That's the
disease.
problem there. Education is lacking, perhaps.
So we are always working with the local NGO because we need the local partner, local support. We did a fashion show where our diplomats, our wives, we brought other diplomats and spouses of diplomats. They were the models, and together with a wonderful, talented local designer. And all the proceeds went for vocational training to women. And we have a very beautiful project that is on the way now. We are joining another NGO in having a computer classroom. HP is providing the computers,
The hardware. Yeah.
the hardware. We are providing the bus and the finances for operating it for 5 years, and it will go around neighborhoods where children have less access to computers and give them access to computers to learn computer itself, but to use the computers also to learn other subjects. So.
Right.
We have many projects. I will not
Yeah, sure.
do the whole list, but we are very proud of this activity.
No, that I can see. And as I said, very few people know perhaps that from Mizoram, the first, in the recent years, first Jews migrated to Israel, and then Sassoon Hospital, it comes from, that's in my home city, Pune. So that way, Israel's not unknown to India, but it is now well known because of startups and innovations. So in that sector, how do you see the next level of cooperation? Are you looking at younger Indians, younger innovative scientists and technologists, all that? Are they coming to you to get more technology or get skills upgraded?
Yes. First of all, both of our countries are very young countries and very growing. So I think this is a huge advantage because there is a lot of energy inside the countries. We are not tired, older countries. And this influence, I think, the character. We have programs. As we speak, there are about 1,000 Indian students studying in Israel. mainly advanced degrees, because we don't offer a lot of bachelor degrees in English. Most of it is to very good institutions, educational institutions in Israel, like the Technion, like Tel Aviv University, like the Weizmann Institute. And I had the privilege when Dr. Jay Shankar went to Israel last October. I went with him in my first days in my office. And we met with these students, and it was really amazing to see them. Now, it sounds like a small group, but Israel is a small country. It's not what we have, but it's the elite of the Indian students that are going there. One of the issues is that there is less awareness here for the excellence of Israel, because the natural place to go would be the United States.
Yes.
Or UK, maybe.
And Australia, for
Australia,
instance.
but in excellence, I think that UK. And the other day we inaugurated here an exhibition of the Technion. It's almost 100 years old. It was established before the State of Israel by Albert Einstein. By the way, he was one of the people who. And it's a small institution. I think they have like 13,000 students, more or less, but going on. And they did a very nice exhibition. It was an art exhibition exhibiting their inventions, and they have a lot under the belt, contribution, everything. But as we spoke there, they have 3 direct Nobel Prizes in this small institute.
One small institute.
And one indirect, in the sense of one of the graduates got it in the US later on. So there is a lot of excellence in Israeli establishments. We have to bring it here. But in general, this is only one element, and there are scholarships, and mainly Indians, who are the biggest group of non-Israeli students in Israel, by the way, of foreign students. They don't need scholarships because they are good enough. They don't need their own specific scholarships, because they are good enough to compete with everyone else and win scholarships according to their excellence. So this is a very good element. But also we want to encourage Israeli startups to come here, to encourage Indian startups to come to Israel. There are different programs to try and promote it. iCreate has a program with the Startup Nation Central, an Israeli organization. But we have to work more on this. I think to build the tools for this cooperation, because the people will do it. If you give them the tool, we have a very good fund, I4F it's called. It's a fund for industrial research. India, Israel. Both countries give equal amounts. And now, hopefully, we are going to extend it and to enlarge it in some, and to extend it also in the sense of enabling more startups to go in, not only industrial, but wider fields. So we are trying to create the tools that will enable the natural connection to give fruit.
That's very good to know, because like we discussed right at the beginning, 2 legs, defense and agriculture. Defense continues to be one of the drivers, main drivers of the relationship. Of late, India is now trying to become self-reliant. It's trying to become, as they call, Atmanirbhar. So in that context, how would Israeli defense companies then look at the opportunities here? Because they have been mainstays in certain areas like UAVs, Herons have been mainstays in Indian armed forces, and during the standoff with China, they have really helped. So what is the sense of this?
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because when you come to defense industry and the notion of Make in India, and the idea of Make in India is not production in India, it's also IP in India, giving also knowledge. Now, defense companies, they are, of course, or countries are more reluctant when it comes to defense. But since there is a very high trust, I think, between India and Israel, and which is going on for many years, the cooperation, very sensitive fields, going on for more than 30 years, so a long period, more than our full diplomatic relations. I believe that the trust will build the bridges of how do we do the Make in India in a way that serves India's interest and serves Israel's interest. So the companies are, for the last couple of years, I think, are giving a lot of the Israeli defense but also the establishment of how do we work into the Indian, make in India, and we understand the need. If you look at the war in Ukraine here,
Right.
and the problem now of spare parts for India, for Russian equipment and
Right.
things like that, you can understand the logic
Yes.
and the need in general, not only of spare parts, but
Autonomy.
autonomy and self-reliance, since India is growing very fast to be a world superpower, not just a regional superpower that it has been for many, many years.
Right.
I think it's a natural process that is going through, and anyone who wants to be part of the process, and I think Israel has to be part of the process, will have to find the ways to adjust and play along.
I'm glad you're saying that, because there has been a lot of reservation in other countries, but I'm sure Israel, with its innovative mind and collective innovative approach, will surely find a middle path between India's desire and need and what you want to do also there. You spoke about the Ukraine war, and I just wanted to, in fact, talk about that. The global order is now in a flux in that sense. Israel, of course, has been a great close ally of the United States, but Europe now seems to be in a turmoil. Going beyond India, Israel, how do you see the effects of the conflict in Ukraine?
Yeah, I think it pushed the countries, India and Israel among them, to take decisions that we would rather not take now.
Right.
Maybe it's decisions that would have been taken down the road, but since there is a conflict between Russia and the US and the West, each one is pushing you now, take sides.
Exactly.
And, we all have mixed interests.
Right.
Yours are known.
Yes.
We also have our issues. We have in Syria, we have the Russian military presence.
Exactly.
So we are trying to create their modus operandi with them, and we have, by the way, many Jewish people living in Russia.
Yeah.
Many immigrated to Israel, but still many are living there.
Right.
Many are living in Ukraine.
Yes.
So we are also pushed to taking positions on things that we rather not do it now.
Exactly.
But it's changing the world order, I think. Europe and NATO were somehow revived now. It seems that they were losing cause or unity, and one can see a little bit more determinants there. And I don't know if it will be copied now to other grounds, into Asia and to other places in the world. It remains to be seen. But it's a big issue. It's also, I think, this regional problem of Ukraine, Russia is influencing every one of us, because we pay more for the oil, we pay more for the bread, or we will pay more for the bread, for the oil, cooking oil.
Yes.
Products, everything is more complicated.
Right.
Spare parts for India.
Yeah.
It's really has influence on all the world, and it seems that it was an avoidable thing, unfortunately. So we are all, we are a small country. Although I love the say of one of my friends used to say that we are 9 million people, but together with India, we are about 20% of world population.
That's true.
So, we are small, we are trying to play the game.
Right.
We are considered regionally a strong power.
Right.
But again, it's a small country with big challenges that we are confronting from day
bigger
one.
influence, in fact. So that brings me to my last question. What used to be called I2U2, India, Israel, United States, and UAE. There's a new equation happening in the Middle East, or what we call West Asia. How is that panning out? Has that progressed anywhere, or it was like the Chinese say, it was all foam and no substance?
No, I think first of all, it's the Abraham Accords. There was a paradigm change just over a year ago, when for the first, Gulf countries and Arab countries, Morocco is one of the countries of the Abraham Accords. Really are the main countries were UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco, and then also Sudan.
Yes.
And hopefully more will follow, who changed the game in the sense that for years they had cooperation with Israel. They had interest when they needed to buy some defense capability or other technology. They found the ways to buy from Israel, but they did this very quietly because the Palestinian issue was a problem. I must say that India, in a way, the change that Modi brought with him, did it before they even did it. So what India said in 2017, and what these countries said a year ago, the Palestinian issue is an issue. but it cannot be the leading issue of our interest of our citizens.
And
So,
it cannot affect the bilateral relationship.
yeah, we have, our citizens have their own interests.
Right.
And we have to provide these interests of our citizens. We don't have to ignore other problems or other issues that we want to. And I think that's a very mature way of relationship and dealing between countries. So we are doing very well with UAE. This initiative that you referred to is a very important initiative because there is, if before Ukraine also, that you see that the international institutions are becoming weaker.
Right.
Why are they becoming weaker? Because they can agree on nothing. Every country in the world is representing its own interests and pulling to its own direction.
Right.
In Security Council, there are 5 permanent that can veto anyhow anything. So there is, I think, a weakening of feeling. It's also
The multilateral institutions.
as 2 democratic countries.
Right.
We also understand that what's happening is that the world has created this democratic institution called the UN.
Right.
It's democratic. But the majority of the countries are non-democratic.
No, and they don't like to have the democratic approach.
So it's a different rule of the game. You take non-democratic countries who don't have the value of democracy,
Exactly.
and you put them in a democratic
They'll
system. So it doesn't work that well.
Right.
So the idea of regional friendships,
Yes.
like you did your own with Australia,
Right.
the AUKUS.
AUKUS, no, Quad.
Quad.
AUKUS is, of course, UK,
Yeah.
US, and
Yeah.
Australia.
The Quad, I meant, yes. The Quad. And we have now the thing that we started with the US, UAE, India, and Israel. I think it's very important. And there it's a very economic, it's going to the whole orientation is going towards infrastructure in the wide definition.
Right.
So very economic, very commercial, trying to help, to make the lives of our people better, all people involved.
Yes.
And I think it's going forward. There should be soon, I hope, some kind of a high-level meeting of this forum in order to promote and announce already projects and take it to the next level.
Right.
I think it's an interest of all of us that I divide the world to countries who their leadership and their main concern of the country is taking care of the well-being of their own population, and countries who have aspirations that are beyond their borders and their population.
Right.
And I think that both of us and UAE and the US, these are countries who are looking how to make their lives, in general, the world a better place, but their own population better off. And that's why it's important that we work together, because the other forces are working against this
Yes.
trend. So it will go forward because it's a clear interest of all of us.
Right.
And hopefully soon there will be also the formal announcement of projects and high-level meetings and the next stage in this cooperation.
I'm sure that will happen. It's a win-win for everyone. So there's no reason why it shouldn't take off, really. So talking about high-level visits and high-level engagements, what about the Israeli Prime Minister coming to India?
So you're touching here a very sore point for me because what happened last time is that 4 days when the visit was already and prepared, he contracted COVID, and according to protocol, he was okay. He did not have serious symptoms, but the protocol at the time was 5 days of quarantine.
Right.
So he missed the visit, 6 days of quarantine, I think. He missed the visit because he also has to set an example. It's
Sure.
not we cannot play
around with the rules. Yeah.
So he couldn't come, and the problem is that now there is a little bit of we are suffering both a little bit of security issues after Ramadan. Usually Ramadan it's a more sensitive time in our region, so a little bit of security is a little bit more of an issue, and politically the government is struggling to maintain a majority in parliament. So I think these were 2 elements that will dictate when he will come. It's clearly, I just yesterday spoke to his staff, it's clearly on his agenda to come here. Hopefully, if the 2 elements of political insecurity will enable, I hope it will be around the summer. But again, it remains to be seen. That's why it's a sore point, because I already felt the visit. I felt, no, it's very, in the way our relations are going, we have both bottom up,
right,
and we have top down. Both of them are very, very important
together. Yeah.
And these visits, they enable us to create more tools for the bottom up to work well. So it's important to have this visit. We are hopeful also to have other high-level in the pipeline, other high-level visits that will give another boost to our relation. It's 30 years. We have to celebrate it. And we were very honored by the fact that the Minister of External Affairs honored us in our National Day event. He usually doesn't come, but it was 30 years to the relation. And our minister, Lapid, our foreign minister, was in video, also gave a special message.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something very intimate in our relations and friendship between our leaders, which is people underestimated. It's a very important element. At the end of the day, countries have interest, but there are people running the countries. And if these people also have a good chemistry like our leaders have today at all levels, it contributes to the bilateral relations.
So may this relationship grow further. And I wish you a very best in the remaining tenure. I'm sure it's a long tenure it's going to be. But thank you very much for your time and being so candid about various issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So viewers, keep seeing our YouTube channel. Keep watching. You know where to reach us for feedback and comments. Social media handles are all on the screen. We welcome your feedback. And of course, we'll keep bringing to you these special interviews when we get these access to high-level dignitaries like the ambassador here. Thank you very much for watching. For the time being, it's goodbye.